I really love the Dresden Files. If you've been watching this channel, you know this. And I've brought my son along into it. He's still maybe not quite as far as I want him to be in appreciation of this majesty of the Dresden Files. His face says a lot. Today, he's going to talk a little bit about where he's feeling. Thanks for joining us today. This is Fantasy for the Ages, the show where my son Zach and I talk about fantasy, science fiction, and other nerdy things we enjoy. We're diving into the Dresden Files a little bit, a quick take where Zach has something to say. What do you want to say about the Dresden Files, my son?
A number of things. So we've talked about these books before, and we've talked about how they get better. You just have to keep going. It really sucks you in. I'm on book 12.
Considered the best by some people.
Almost halfway through book 12.
And
I don't get it. Not I don't get the book. I don't get what you're talking about. Like, it's fine. At this point, I'm enjoying these stories well enough. Like, I'm not regretting any of these books I read. They're not making me go, oh, I have to stop reading. I just hated that one. Not anymore. But I'm not getting anything really, really satisfying out of this. It's just a cast of characters that some are more entertaining than others. Humor that sometimes feels forced and it doesn't actually land. Plots that are simultaneously trying to be too complex, but also just solved by go in guns blazing 9 times out of 10. But if it isn't solved by that, it's like, oh, they actually tried to do something clever. Until you think about it and realize you figured out the issue in chapter 3, and they didn't until chapter 27. And so for being a powerful wizard, detective, private investigator, supposed to be really good at this, Harry Dresden does not feel very clever. Which maybe that's just I feel like I am more clever than him while reading these books. But it makes him feel inadequate in some of these situations.
Man, your take on this is so foreign to how I feel about these books, which does just reinforce for me that I don't think it's your style is what it really comes down to, because I don't feel any of what you're saying there. And I see you're halfway through changes now. And I'm like, seriously? This book?
I have a lot of moments where I'm like, I know I can pick up a Dresden Files book and I can sit down and I can read this in 2 days or less. I could probably do this in a day if I wanted to, because it reads fairly quickly. But it's almost to the point where, like, as I read it, it almost feels like skim reading because it goes quickly through, but it's not like quickly because I'm engaged and can't put it down. It's because I almost feel like I don't have to pay attention sometimes to still get everything that's going on.
Honestly, I do almost want to know if this is going to sound cliche with everything else you said, but if your opinion feels different when you finish this book.
And it's crazy because you've been saying that at every book.
I know, but there's a reason why book 12 Changes is the fan favorite for so many people. There's a huge reason. So
part of the and like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm enjoying this book. I'm reading it. I'm gonna keep reading these, but this is never gonna be in my top 5, probably not my top 10 of series ever.
It's just apparently not you. You mentioned lots of humor that doesn't quite land, and for me, yeah, that's why this is such a fun series. It was completely the opposite. I felt Jim Butcher got my humor completely, and I've laughed more out loud reading these books than anything else I've read. So I think it's just different styles. It's maybe not your thing.
Don't get me wrong. I love being a smartass. I love someone who is a smartass. Except Harry Dresden sometimes isn't really a smartass. He's just a brat. There is a
Man,
distinction,
wow.
and the distinction is being more clever and pointed in your smartassery, and sometimes he's just being obstinate for the sake of it, and is like, please use your brain for your insults.
One of our viewers responded to a previous episode I did on the Dresden Files that some people just don't get Harry Dresden, that he is one of the most selfless, sacrificing protagonists out there in fantasy, and some just don't see it. Maybe you don't see it.
No, I think he's selfless and self-sacrificing, but I also think he's built up to be a very much white knight milady character, and that just it does not fit well. It feels
Have you
it
read that
feels true
book
to
yet?
him.
There is a book
White
coming
Knight,
up
yeah,
called White Knight.
yeah. It's true to who he is, and like his feelings are genuine. And so it's not judging that, it's judging the choice of the author to portray certain things. And where this most notably comes into play is how Harry Dresden often views or makes jokes around or feels the need to protect women.
Which shouldn't be a bad thing. Come on.
No, I didn't say protecting women is a bad thing. I said how he views and makes jokes about and tries to protect women. And often it takes a lot for him to stop and go, no, they are competent and capable and get to make their own choice. It's like, why is this a huge character moment when 12 books in, he finally lets the actual cop make a choice of whether or not they want to be involved in something? Why did it take 12 books for you to respect the autonomy of a woman?
Now, this isn't, I would not go into spoilers and all here too, but there are things Harry knows that that woman can't understand.
Well, then
So
let's
I
go to
want
a
to do
different one.
this.
Let's talk
And
about
he's like, you
Molly.
don't
Come
know what
on.
you're saying you
The
want to
same
do.
same thing. It doesn't matter who we're talking about, whether it's Lucio or Murphy or Molly or Fae Queens. Harry treats women drastically differently.
And it's who he is. It's his personality. It's
And I
hard to
get
just
that.
flip a switch.
I don't have to like it.
Okay. I appreciate that he's consistent to who he is, even if it isn't how you wish he was.
For a
And,
series that so centrally follows one character, I really just I wish he started at people are people and then moved on to other things, but it feels more often that he goes with men are men and women are women, and they are both people.
okay.
He has very secure gender norms in his head that shape his world, and I get that and I see that, but it frustrates me often.
Fair enough. Again, I'm a Harry Dresden apologist, I guess.
Oh,
He doesn't
absolutely.
diminish women.
Sometimes.
He elevates women, but he also wants to protect them. Okay. Anything else you want to say on this one? And people, remember, if you disagree with Zach, the hate mail goes only to him, please.
For this one, I will take all of the hate mail. And because
Some
I
of them
bash it
might
so
agree.
often, and like I often feel like I have to rail against the series because any criticism that I bring up, it always feels like you're going to make an excuse or try to bail out. And I'm like, a book could be good and have issues. So I just have to reiterate that at this point I am enjoying the series. If you start it, get 1 or 2 books in, you're not really feeling it, you get even 5 books and you're like, no, I'm done. I don't blame you, and I think you should stop. I don't think you should push forward just because, well, book 12 is where it gets great. Don't do that.
Unless you have a dad who's really hoping you keep reading.
If you really want to do it for your dad, sure. Or if you're going, well, there are some redeemable things going on in this world, and I do want to see where it goes. I'm not necessarily loving the actual medium of the story. Then you might enjoy it because you do enjoy seeing how the world changes and the payoffs here and there. You just have to kind of wade through a way of telling the story that you don't always enjoy.
How the world changes. He said changes, people. I really want to talk again when you finish Changes. That book blast is going to be fun. But this is where we'll leave it now, everybody. Thanks for watching. Again, if you enjoyed this interaction between us, hit like. Let us know you enjoyed it. And if you haven't subscribed, we hope you do. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.